of something? Okay, this is a very wonderful session. Please, you just have to be excited. I know we haven't done the content yet, but you have to be excited of it. All right. So yes, this is where we want to start our program, and yeah, definitely we just need to be ready. There's a guest coming. Just a lot of applause for please. A lot of applause, everybody. All right, thank you very much. At this point, may I invite a volunteer to open the session with a word of prayer. Any volunteer? All right.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you, God, for the day you've given us. And I thank you, Father God, you are the God you never disappoint us. You are the God you supply our needs according to his riches in glory. And we are here by your plans. As you're already saying, Jeremiah 29 verse 11, your plans are the plans of prosperity, not the disaster ones. We are praying, God Almighty Jehovah, everything that happens here should become prosperity. And we are praying, God Almighty Jehovah, we should become an active listener. And we are praying, God Almighty Jehovah, whatsoever we heard should bear more fruits in our life. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I have prayed. Amen.
A round of applause, please. All right, so as I said, that we are commencing with our program this afternoon. This is the Innovation Talk series. I believe you guys know about it. Yeah, this is not new, right? Yes, but this is 2026, and there's more that is in this session. You have to be expectant, and there's a lot that you are going to benefit from this session. So, without taking much of your time, I would love to invite Doc that he gives us a welcome remarks. Doc, it's your time.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon. I think we can afford a smile, isn't it? Just a smile. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, thank you very much. So let me recognize the presence of the UNDP Head of Solution Mapping, UNDP Accelerator Lab, Mrs. Hazel Namadingo Shawa. If you can stand, Hazel, so that people maybe can see you. Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think by now you know that UNDP is our major partner in the UniPod, and we are always happy to have Hazel in the UniPod. But also allow me to show to you our guests that have come all the way from all over Africa. So we have Farida. Farida, if you can please stand. Thank you very much. She will be making a presentation later this afternoon, but also we have Lopez. Where? Oh, he's just moved out. And then we, oh, please, thank you very much. And then we have Prince and Nabila, is it? I don't know if I've gotten the pronunciation correct. Thank you very much. So if you see me out of Malawi very soon, just realize it's because I got the pronunciation right. Nabila. My task this afternoon is just to welcome you all to the UniPod and also to our guests. Welcome to Malawi, welcome to Blantyre. This is the UniPod Innovation Talk Series program. For those of you that are coming here for the very first time on this series, this is something that we do each and every month. You might ask, why didn't we see this at the end of January? January, we all know, is a very difficult month for everyone. January, we are just recovering from whatever calamities we go through in December, isn't it? So we don't do much in January. I think the last talk series that we did was in November, and December we said, let's take a break and enjoy Christmas, which we did. January, then we gave an excuse. We can't have the talk series in January because we are just coming from December. So this is our very first one, 2026. And we are so happy that we are starting on a very, very technical note and on a very important note. Important in the sense that the topic that will be shared with us today is very unique. And I would want to request that we all be as vulnerable as we can be. Let us listen, let us learn. Because as you know, in the UniPod, we believe that knowledge is key. Knowledge is of essence in whatever you would want to do, in whatever innovations that you would want to undertake, in whatever decisions you would want to take as an individual, as an institution. We make sure that we are well informed. And today's series is about information. So this is about the Bitcoin. And we are happy, as I said, to have our colleagues from the Africa Bitcoin Community Hub based in Mauritius to share insights about the Bitcoin. I will not stand here and pretend to you that I know much about the Bitcoin. No. I'm also as equally blank as you are. And I would want to encourage you to make sure that we learn as much as we can. After the 2 sessions, there will be a session for question and answer. And I would want to encourage you to ask as many questions as we can. Please, this is an opportunity. I think most of us have been hearing about Bitcoin. There have been a lot of negative publicity about Bitcoin and its associated technologies. But I think this is an opportunity for us to hear from the experts, to learn from them, but also to be in a position to apply the knowledge that we are going to learn today. So, colleagues, our topic for today is the intelligent, decentralized era, Bitcoin and AI shaping Africa's digital economy. And I would want to welcome you. Feel free to ask, relax, and let us enjoy the presentation. And I would want to thank you all for your attention. Welcome once again to the UniPod. Let us enjoy the series. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Quite interesting. He just spoke something that most of us were having it in our mind. Like, Bitcoin. But yes, today we are going to learn what Bitcoin is. So I want you guys to relax. All right? I know your faces doesn't seem to be relaxed. Yes, we've got big people who are going to bring it down for understanding. All right. So that was a welcoming remarks from the head of innovation, research and innovation, Dr. Madaitso Takama. And as we are proceeding with our program, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you someone who is I was failing to consume all the data that I found because I think it was a lot. But yes, this person, she happens to be the founder of African Bitcoin community. And trust you me, guys, this is one of the biggest things that have happened on the African continent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Miss Faida Bimbo. I've just forgotten the surname, but yes, I might also take out, as Doug said. Thank you very much. Let's start.
Thank you all so much for having me here today. It is quite an honor to have to spend this afternoon with you all. It is my team and I's first time in Malawi, and we are really overjoyed to be in your beautiful country, to get to share a little bit more about the work that we do. So the Africa Bitcoin Community Hub was set up about 5 years ago with the goal of advancing knowledge and education and adoption of Bitcoin on the African continent. How many of you know what Bitcoin is? Just like understand what Bitcoin is? Good, all right. So that number actually reflects that overall on our continent, there is very little knowledge about Bitcoin. For a lot of people, it's a mean for speculation, hopes that you can quickly make money. But beyond it, it is a beautiful technology that comes with a whole lot of opportunities for us Africans. So at the Africa Bitcoin Community Hub, we specialize on a lot of things. On one aspect, we do education, community literacy on Bitcoin. On another aspect, we train Bitcoin engineers because we want Africans to not just be consumers of a product, but contributors. And also we convene a space where Africans can come together and discuss the technology, network, and drive investment into this space. So we host the largest Bitcoin conference on the continent, the first one, and one of the top in the world, where we bring hundreds of people every year. It's called the Africa Bitcoin Conference. And our hope is that in the future, we will be able to host that conference here in Malawi. So let me tell you a little bit about money, because Bitcoin, before and foremost, is money. When we hear about Bitcoin, the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people is cryptocurrency, scams, maybe I'll get rich, maybe I'll get scammed. But we cannot really talk about Bitcoin without starting from the beginning, because the concept has to go from the genesis. So my presentation will focus more on why Bitcoin, and my colleague Prince's presentation will focus on how Bitcoin. Why? Because you need to understand the reason why we are pushing for adoption and understanding of this technology before you learn to use it. Because when people lack the background information, they don't really make informed decisions. So money has several functions. It is a medium of exchange, it is a store of value, it is a unit of account, and it is a powerful tool, because whoever controls your money controls your sovereignty as a country. And for many African countries, as well as other places in the world, money has existed since the beginning of time. Before colonialism, Africans used money in a variety of ways. In some parts of the world, or the continent, they use cowries. In other parts of the continent, they use gold dust. Others will trade agricultural products and livestock. And many others will also trade salt. Why? Because it is easily breakable as compared to other forms of money. However, when we got colonized, automatically we inherited from a monetary system that came from our colonizers. A lot of our countries got their independence right after World War II. That is when we had a pretty good awareness over the fact that our people were being dominated, and the Westerners who came to control us also fought for their freedom and believe in principles that they should self-determine as people. And as a result, we have seen independence movements pop up across Africa. So in the beginning of the 60s and the late 50s and early 60s, a lot of African nations started having their independence and building their own central banks and establishing their currencies. However, the modern monetary system also came with a price tag. Right after World War II, the Western powers decided to reorganize themselves. So they went ahead into a meeting called the Bretton Woods Gathering, where they set up two key financial instruments: the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. These two institutions, established in 1944, literally gave power to those Western nations to decide on the monetary and financial future of hundreds of countries across the globe. The consequence of the establishment of the Bretton Woods Institute led to a lot of our countries contracting massive debts denominated in foreign currencies, most specifically the dollar, which was adopted at Bretton Woods as the main international unit of accounts. And why was the dollar selected at Bretton Woods as the international currency for trade? Because at the end of World War II, the United States ended up having the largest gold reserve. At the time, the US dollar was pegged to the value of gold that the United States Reserve Bank detained. And as the owner of the largest gold reserve, the dollar was chosen as a currency of trade. However, in the 1970s, there were economic crises that led the US government under President Nixon to shift pegging the US dollar from gold to now pegging it to what? Anybody can guess? Oil. That is where we saw the creation of the term petrodollars. Why? Because the United States government realized that it would be almost impossible for them to acquire the amount of gold needed to match with the rapid growth of their country, especially at a time where they were pushing for massive capitalism in a post-World War II era, where they were investing massively in countries to ensure that they defeat the communists. As a result, they couldn't yield enough dollars, print enough dollars that are capped to the gold to match their ambition goal of imposing capitalism on the world. So they needed to create money out of thin air. So the US central bank started using the dollar, the oil, as the basis for printing dollars. Now, what has been the consequence of this? They invested billions of dollars in a variety of countries. And in the 70s, when they went through that redenomination, the value of the dollar was revised. And as a result, our countries that have very weak economic situations, currencies depreciated as compared to the US dollars, because the US government increased their interest rates. The US Federal Reserve Bank increased their interest rates, which increased people's investments into the US stocks and the US dollar, and automatically it devalued our currency. Now, imagine borrowing $1, which at the time, I'm just giving a random example, I don't have the exact figure, which at the time could be equating 50 kwacha. And you wake up one morning, and that same $1 is now worth 500 kwacha. So in the end, you have to repay your loans in dollars, which means your country has to mobilize 10 times more money to pay the exact same loan. So technically, it's like if you borrowed one cow from someone with the promise that in 2 years or 5 years, you pay back with 2 cows. And that person replays the game, changes the game and says, now you owe me 10 cows instead of 5. This situation has led to massive debt for many of our countries because we couldn't pay back our loans. So what was the consequence? The same institutions through which the Western governments loaned money to us, more specifically European governments who also got their money from the Americans, now came with solutions that they call structural adjustment programs. So what are the structural adjustment programs? They are literally economic solutions that were imposed by the IMF on countries that could no longer pay their loans. So they come in as fouls and they said, we don't care that you don't have the money and we don't care that you are underdeveloped. We just want our money back. So to ensure we get our money back, we have to reduce government expenditure and we have to increase government taxes and revenues. So how do they proceed? They start cutting off government programs. In a lot of African countries, actually more than 90% of them, the state has to reduce their budgets in education, in healthcare, in public infrastructure, and they have to increase taxes and start creating new taxes just to maximize revenue to pay back those debts. The consequence, so as public schools being inflated, where in one class you have 30 students, to now having 100 students in a classroom in some countries, where because the state can no longer afford to hire more teachers and the population is growing. We have seen our hospitals being overcrowded. Why? Because the state no longer has the resources to build more hospitals. The consequences of the structural adjustment programs were a huge devastation for the African continent and has led to massive impoverishment, and not just that, to a lot of political issues in our countries. So in the late 70s and 80s, there were coups happening almost everywhere, almost every single country. Why? Because the economic instability led to massive economic instabilities and into some cases to coups and wars and many other issues that we continue to pay for to this day. Unfortunately, to this day, we have not solved this problem. Our countries, including Malawi, because I've checked the data for Malawi, own sometimes in some cases up to 80% of our GDP in debt. Literally, we are just running on debt. And when the citizen complains that there is no money for infrastructure, we go to school, there are no teachers. We go to hospitals, there are no supplies. It's because our governments are heavily indebted. Of course, the politicians also take their cut, but the massive source of our poverty has been this political and economic structure that was set up by the nations that colonized us in the past, which we continue to pay. I'm going to give you one particular example. This is what actually led me into Bitcoin. When we were in the room there, Prof asked me what was my teaching background. And I told him that I am actually a lecturer of political science and international relations, which was funny because how can somebody who is in political science now find themselves into tech? It doesn't come up so easily. But the reality is that for many years, I have been an activist fighting against the systems and the structures that have maintained our countries and our people into poverty. And one of the key frustrations that led to my activism is the CFA franc. The CFA franc was established in the same 1944 that the Bretton Woods institutions were created. It was a decision of the French government to impose on all its colonies a currency that will allow them to increase the economic and monetary power of France, because at the end of World War II, France was broke and heavily indebted, but they still wanted to be a key player on the global scene. So they decided that all of their colonies, 15 of them, will put 65% of their gold reserve in the Bank of France. Automatically, that inflates the value of the Bank of France. None of these countries are allowed to print their money. To this day, our currency is printed in France. They have created 2 reserve banks, one for the Central African countries and one for the West African countries that are Francophone. The currency itself, CFA, literally means in French, Colonie Française d'Afrique, which means French colonial Africa. That's the name that our currency carries to this day. What has been the consequence of the CFA currency? For every single thing we buy, we have to convert our currency into the French franc then, before it became the euro. Our currency is pegged to the euro today. It used to be pegged to the French franc. And the French decided arbitrarily that 1 French franc would be worth 100 CFA. Literally the wealth of 15 nations combined. Like literally we need 100 of our currency to have the CFA. Before I continue, I'm going to play a quick video, which is going to show you what led me into my journey in Bitcoin. Sorry, I think I need your assistance because I'm... Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry, we're kind of like trying to set this up. Sorry, we need your assistance, please. Find the right Wi-Fi.
Use 4.5G. Is it connected now?
It seems connected. Oh, you have 2 dots here that you have to remove.
Hello, hello. Okay, while we're waiting, I'm going to ask a question. What is Bitcoin? Who can answer from what Ms. Farida said until now? What is Bitcoin? One word. Yes?
Okay, that means
One word, only one word. What is Bitcoin?
a decentralized currency.
That's not one word. Thank you. Just one word. Yes, sir. Money. I got you. All right. Approve for him. Bitcoin is money. What is Bitcoin? Everybody, what is Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin? Wow, thank you.
We need sound.
Yeah, it is sound.
The video has a sound. Okay.
Like it. The sound of course will come from there, but it will then
Who can increase the volume? Okay, so he played for us. All right. So it seems like he has to play it for us because of sound.
All right. So another question.
So I can see more than 50 people here. How many of you are following the UniPod page on Twitter, on X? How many people? Let me see your hands. Why are you guys here? You're coming here for free to get knowledge for free, and you're not giving back. Where's your phone? Everybody, your phone out. Are you on X? You're on X. Now, why are you not on X? Download X if you're not on X. Who is on X here? How do you want to be global? You want to remain in Malawi. How do you want people in America to notice you? People in France, people in Nigeria, people in Tanzania. How do they notice you? Are you building a brand, or you just want to be, you're just on Facebook? No, you need to go beyond Facebook. Okay, are you on LinkedIn? Okay, so you should be on X too. So if you're on X right now, if you don't have X, download X. And who is on X here? How many of you? Show your, why are you scared? Show your, no, no, no. Okay, okay, wait. If you're on X, he got a book for you. Okay, yeah. So, no, no, but wait. If you're on X and you're following UniPod, put your hands up. Wait, so the ones following UniPod already, let me see. Because you can't just say it with your mouth.
No, it's not.
Can we see? Okay, can you, somebody give me what is UniPod X handle? UniPod X handle. Following UniPod.
UniPod Malawi. UniPod.
Now, everybody, if you're on X and you're not following UniPod, we're gonna kick you out right now. So it's UniPod Malawi. So click the follow button. I'm watching you right now. I'm here. So I'm gonna see if the numbers are growing. You know, what did they say? Charity begins at home. You can't be a student of Mombasa. You cannot come to UniPod facility, and you're not trying to allow people. Look at the building you people are. You don't want it to be global. You don't want people to know what you're doing here. So if someone should tell you, tell me about UniPod, what would you tell the person?
It's an innovation center. Okay, it's an innovation center serving the community and the students.
Okay, but so why are you not on X? Why are you not preaching why are you not preaching this?
Togolese girl named Farida Naburema.
It's a global movement. You people should push this movement. Are we ready? Okay, so we're gonna come back to you guys. So if you have not downloaded X, download. Yeah?
In the fall of 1993, a young 3-year-old Togolese girl named Farida Naburema had a bright future. She was too young to realize it, but thanks to her industrious, frugal parents, she would have the means to pursue a meaningful education and career. But when Farida's family woke up on the morning of January 12, 1994, everything had changed. Overnight, her parents lost half of their savings, not due to theft, bank robbery, or company bankruptcy, but a currency devaluation imposed by a foreign power more than 4,500 kilometers away. The previous evening, French officials and IMF bureaucrats met in Dakar to discuss the fate of the CFA franc. For years, the currency used by citizens of Togo and other West and Central African nations had been pegged to the French franc at a rate of 1 to 50. But when the late-night meeting concluded, it was 1 to 100. The economic fates of tens of millions of people had been decided by French leaders, with the complicity of pro-French rulers of countries such as Togo and Ivory Coast. This is French monetary colonialism, an exploitative system of monetary control which has outlasted political colonialism and allowed France to retain control over the economies of 15 African countries and subsidize the French way of life. Despite decades of uprisings, the system stands to this day, but is now being challenged by a new form of resistance: open source code. At the height of its imperialism, the French colonial empire stretched over 11.5 million square kilometers. After World War II, the French had fought tooth and nail to keep their colonial possessions, but eventually were forced to give them up. However, the benefits of the resources and labor of French colonies in West and Central Africa were too rich. Paris devised a scheme to have its cake and eat it too, ending political colonialism while orchestrating monetary colonialism. This was the birth of the CFA franc. The French understand that by controlling the colonial franc currency, also known as the CFA franc, it increases its power against its former colonies and allows it to siphon the wealth back to Paris in numerous ways. The CFA franc was originally introduced in 1945. By the 1990s, it had been devalued by 99.5%. The CFA farmers and producers have no recourse. France still manufactures all of the notes and coins used in the CFA regions, charging 45 million euros per year for the service. And if CFA residents want to travel abroad, they're forced to convert their colonial francs to euros, as the CFA currency is worthless outside their countries. France again takes its cut. With the guise of generosity, France grants loans to its CFA nations for infrastructure developments, but the work is contracted to French companies. This is the infamous double loan. The taxpayers of countries like Ivory Coast are on the hook for the entire loan plus interest, while the French get paid back twice. First, in an immediate sense, when the loan is used to pay a French company to complete a project, and then later, when the principal plus interest is paid back on the loan. By denying CFA nations the ability to produce their own manufacturing-based economies, and by steering CFA nations away from consumption agriculture and towards producing inedible exports designed for world markets, they eliminate sovereignty and engineer dependence. Today, the CFA system has been Africanized. Togo's currency now shows local culture and flora and fauna, but these are only superficial changes. The banknotes are still made in Paris. French officials still sit on the boards of 2 of the 3 regional CFA banks, and the wealth generated by the French authorities in the first 7 decades of the CFA system, when Paris got to keep national reserves and dictate monetary policy, has not been returned. The World Bank and IMF work in concert with France to enforce the CFA system, and rarely, if ever, criticize its exploitative nature. The IMF managing director position has often been held by a French official. Recently, Christine Lagarde. Contradicting the values of liberté, égalité, fraternité, French officials have propped up tyrants to enforce the CFA zone for the past 6 decades. Omar Bongo in Gabon, Paul Biya in Cameroon, and Gnassingbé Eyadema in Togo have amassed 120 years in power between them. Those who resisted French rule have paid a heavy price. Togo's first post-colonial leader, Sylvanus Olympio, formally moved to create a central bank of Togo and a Togolese franc. January 13, 1963. Days before he was about to cement this transition, he was shot dead by former Togolese soldiers enrolled in the French colonial army. A few days later, Farida Naburema's grandfather and his comrades were arrested and tortured by the military for organizing against the puppet government the French had installed. Gnassingbé Eyadema was one of the soldiers who committed the crime. He later seized power and became Togo's dictator with full French support, ruling for more than 5 decades and promoting the CFA franc until his death from 1967 to 2005. His son rules to this day. Olympia's murder was just one of the many ways in which France has punished those who would overthrow its rule. Whether it was France collapsing the Malian economy by rendering the Malian franc inconvertible, or by pouring huge quantities of counterfeited banknotes into the Guinean economy, their retribution is brutal. Learning about the 1994 devaluation of the CFA franc opened Farida's eyes to the ways in which currency is used as a mechanism of control. Farida's father had his bank account restricted because of his pro-democracy activism. Farida, fearing the same retribution, has turned to Bitcoin, which has been a financial lifeline to keep the democracy movement going inside Togo's dictatorship.
When I discovered Bitcoin, I realized it was a cultural, scientific, and most importantly, economic revolution, all bundled into one.
People in the West might be skeptical about Bitcoin. If you have Venmo and Cash App, you might not see why it is important. But when you go to Togo, more than 75% of the people have never set foot in a bank.
Today, Africa is made up of 54 countries and an incredible 46 currencies.
Bitcoin gives Africans the ability to unite on one monetary standard, controlled neither by dictators nor by colonial powers. Money and currency are buried beneath the surface in the global human rights movement. They hardly ever come up at human rights conferences and are rarely discussed among activists. Monetary repression continues to be hidden and not spoken of in polite circles. The reality today for the 182 million people living in CFA nations is that while they may be politically independent in name, their economies and money are still under colonial rule. But even monetary independence from France would not guarantee that they will perform well, or that the country's leaders will not abuse the currency. Today, Farida and like-minded activists are spreading the word of Bitcoin.
It is clear that people are in need of a currency that actually breaks the will, one that cannot be manipulated by governments of any kind.
Cameroonian economist Joseph Chanjang Poemi wrote, Monnaie, servitude, et liberté. The thesis, monetary dependence is the foundation of all other forms of dependence. The final words of the book ring especially strong today. Africa's fate will be forged through money, or it won't be forged at all.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Oh, how do I make it? Oh, it's okay. Yes. Present to external. Okay. I can. Oh. Prince, I think I still need your help because. Oh. Sorry, I think we kind of moved a little too quickly. All right. Okay. So after watching that video, you have a better sense into how I joined the struggle to advance Africa's monetary independence, because most of our countries are still colonized. You may not have a similar situation to the CFA in your country, the same situation as the CFA in your country, but the kwacha is not much different. Neither is the Naira or the Ghanaian cedi. You all have your national central banks, but the model is very similar, just that if you have studied French colonialism, the French have what they call direct rule, and the British have what they call the indirect rule. Today, as a Malawian, the value of your currency is tied to the US dollar. Your country has to earn more and more dollars to keep its certain value. When it cannot earn enough forex, what happens? It borrows. From who? The IMF, at rates that are super high. And what does the IMF does? Impose policies which require your central bank to devalue your currency. So the value of the kwacha today, I'm sure, wasn't the same value 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago. And what is the consequence? When your currency depreciates, it means your labor depreciates. The amount of money that your parents invest in you to study if 20 years later, the salary you're earning is worth 10 times less, it means you have wasted 20 years of your time studying and earning less than your grandparents earned 60 years ago. That is the kind of plunder that this continent is witnessing because of the monetary systems that we are tied to. So let us look at the numbers with Malawi. Your GDP is about 14 to 16 billion, and the GDP per capita is 620, one of the lowest globally. 64% of the workforce is in agriculture, and 50 to 60% of your export earnings are with tobacco. Your external debt is $4 to $5 billion. Your debt to GDP is over 80%. Malawi is actually in the top 5 countries that are the most indebted in the whole of Africa. So, what causes that debt crisis? The dollar shortage. Literally, we have to trade in a currency that we have no control over. Like the video mentioned, 46 currencies in Africa. And the ridiculousness is that when you look at the people in Zambia and the people in Malawi, they are almost the same. But if you want to buy raw materials in Zambia, you have to buy dollars first with your currency before paying in the Zambian currency. The same thing for my country in Togo. Before you buy anything from Ghana, we speak the same local languages, same traditions, same names, same rights, just a colonial border. But before you buy something in Ghana cedis, that currency has to now be we pay double taxes because at least you buy dollars and directly the Zambian currency. We have to now buy euros first, use the euros to buy dollars, then use the dollars to buy cedis. And the consequence, we lose billions of dollars a year in that tragedy. The worst aspect is the time that it takes. From a bank transfer from Togo to Ghana, 2 neighboring countries, you're looking at 3 weeks. Why? Because the money has to leave the bank in Togo, go to the French bank in Europe, then go through another intermediary bank either in the US or the UK before coming back to Ghana. You're looking at 3 weeks for a transaction of $1 million, for example. And that is the realities that are making trade almost impossible, difficult, and costly. So we are paying fees for spending our own money simply because that trade happens in a currency we have zero control over. And more dollars are needed. No matter how hard the people are, their currency is going to devalue because the government need dollars to buy anything outside of the country. And for them to access that dollar, they have to continue devaluing their currency. So how has money changed over time? We're going to go through that very quickly because we are pressed by time. I think I covered that a little. Okay, sorry, apologies. So we are talking about how money changed over time. From the 80s to the 40s, I talked about Bretton Woods, Nixon. Rich countries can print money to fix their economic problems, but us, we just can't because the IMF determines when, how much we print, and why we can print money. So, one of the issues we talk about is the politics behind money. The second issue we have is more technical, is accessibility. 95% of people in our rural areas are unbanked. 95%. And more than 60% of our population live in the rural areas. But even for those who are in the urban areas, their banking rate is not that high either. In most countries in Africa, it stagnates around 30%. Only 30% of our population have bank accounts. So not having bank accounts make payments more complicated. And it wasn't until mobile money came that we saw a change with a lot of people using mobile money, M-Pesa in Kenya, Airtel money, MTN money, and so many other means of avenues. So with technology, we have already seen a shift in how money moves from a physical cash to a digital infrastructure. So now we are going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, but my colleague Prince will go more into details. In 2009, there was a huge economic crisis in the United States, which saw Americans lose almost all of their resources because their banks have been lying to them about the realities, the economic realities. They couldn't repay their debt, the dollar crashed, and the Americans were losing money. The funny thing is that what happened in 2009 is what we Africans have been enduring since the 70s. But that single economic crash led to the creation of Bitcoin. a group of cyber fans, computer engineers, thought about withdrawing the control of money from the hands of government and giving it back to people. They thought about creating a digital model that will allow value to move freely without intermediaries, a currency that will not be able to be confiscated by government, and a rules that will be set in time in such a way that nobody can change it. So they created the Bitcoin. The name of the creator is Satoshi Nakamoto. Unfortunately, to this day, we are unable to tell if it is one individual or a group of people, but the way the Bitcoin blockchain protocol, which was what they invented, is elaborated, a lot of people say it's impossible for one person to have engineered all of that because it's way too detailed. So for Bitcoin, it requires no central bank. It is completely permissionless, and there will only be 121 billions that will ever be mined. The last Bitcoin is set to be mined in year 2140. Luckily, we'll all be dead by then. So transactions on Bitcoin are verified by computers. So they use a mathematical method called cryptography to set this technology. And that is how the blockchain industry literally was born, because Bitcoin was the very first blockchain to have been created. Of course, after Bitcoin was created, it was made entirely open source. So anyone can see the code, can contribute to the code, and can operate a node anywhere in the world. Today, you have millions of nodes that are operated globally. As a result, a lot of businesses saw the opportunities that Bitcoin brought and started replicating the model. And today you have thousands and thousands of blockchains and thousands of cryptocurrencies, but the vast majorities are not to be trusted because they are just copied on the Bitcoin blockchain model and the Bitcoin cryptocurrency model, but they don't act in the same way. So for Bitcoin to come to exist, we do what we call Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining is just computers processing information. The miners are powerful computers, and they solve mathematical calculations. So whatever computer manages to calculate the code to confirm an information on the blockchain win a set of codes that is now called Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is divisible. My colleague will go more into that. So currently, the reward for one transaction is 3.125 Bitcoin per block. And every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin you can earn per hash is half, and they call that period the halving. So every 4 years, it diminishes. So in 4 years from 2024, the last halving was last year, people are going to earn 3.1 Bitcoin divided by 4, whatever number that is. I'm not so good at math. So a new block is created every 10 minutes, meaning every 10 minutes, 3.12 Bitcoins are mined. So for Bitcoin mining, we need energy. And one of the things we have been hearing over and over again about Bitcoin, institutions, lobbies, banks that are investing in demonizing Bitcoin is that it consumes too much energy. I have been told, well, Africa has energy deficiency. How can you be talking about Bitcoin? The reality is that Africa does have energy problems, but our problem is lack of infrastructure and difficulty in distribution. Our problem is not that we don't have the proper climate to produce energy. So for Bitcoin to run, it needs energy because it's just computers calculating transaction. And of course, you'll see data telling you that Bitcoin miners globally consume the equivalent of electricity that the whole of Australia consumes. It is true. Then they will tell you it's bad for the environment and it's bad for the climate. Well, let's tell a reality. Nobody computes the amount of electricity it costs for banks to operate. It costs for banks to print money, to move money, to disburse money. Nobody computes the amount of electricity that ATM machines consume globally. When you put those numbers together, using cash costs 30 times more electricity than using Bitcoin. So if we are moving toward a cashless world, we will be saving energy. But here is the hic about Bitcoin mining. Countries like Malawi do have energy, but the government lacks the resources to be able to distribute it. Malawi produces very little, barely 600 megawatts for 20 million people. That is way too little. But mind you, even those 5 to 600 megawatts that Malawian government is producing, they are unable to distribute all of it. A country like Nigeria, wastes about 70% of the energy that it produces. Why? Because the government needs money to buy the infrastructure, to set up the connecting lines for people to be able to access it. And they cannot get the money. Why? Because they are broke. They are indebted. The IMF will not give it to them. As a result, most of our energy is being wasted. Currently in Malawi, there is a Bitcoin company called Gridless that is actually using the wasted energy to mine Bitcoin and is paying money to the Malawian government, money that is going into your pocket. One country did the same thing a few years ago. Okay, these are some data. So since Bitcoin, Gridless has been mining Bitcoin in Malawi, the revenues from Gridless have led to 1,600 families connected to the grid. And there is also a quick video that I'm going to play on that one because you need to see it to have a better sense of the reality. We can always come back. Okay, you can do that. You can always come back to that. A country like Ethiopia. Ethiopia had what they have always called the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. It's the largest dam in Africa. It is built on the Nile River, I think the longest river in Africa. But for many years, the vast majority of the electricity power of that dam is completely wasted. They had no idea what to do with it. A few years ago, the Tanzanian government also released a report indicating that their dam wastes about 80% of the electricity they produce. So what happened in 2024, the last quarter of 2024, the Ethiopian government signed a deal with a Bitcoin mining company to use the wasted transit energy in the Ethiopian dam to mine Bitcoin. In just 1 year of existence, that company earned $200 million revenue for the Ethiopian government. That is not the revenue for the company. That is what the company paid the Ethiopian government. The first quarter, the Ethiopian government made $51 million out of electricity that was just sitting there and being wasted. So when people say Bitcoin mining is dangerous for Africa, it is the same people who don't want us to earn money out of Bitcoin because they want all the revenues for themselves. We can come. I think it's the one on. Oh, it's here? Okay. Copy.
Hello, hello. Some people download X. Everybody download X. We see that we were on the UniPod before we start. You were on 70 something. We were right now at 120. Come for you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So people who didn't download the X here, please do. And like your university, like UniPod. It will help people around the world know about UniPod. Thank you.
Down of the day. But with electricity, life goes on. Damien got power a year and a half ago and says it's been transformational. Getting electricity to towns as remote as this is an expensive engineering challenge. Follow the pylons and it brings you here, Zengamina Hydropower Plant. This is a so-called mini-grid, an island of power generation, and it has a not-so-secret weapon, Bitcoin. Since 2013, this container full of powerful computers has been whirring away in the Zambian bush 24/7, earning Bitcoin, the most valuable virtual currency. It's an odd place for a high-tech crypto operation, but it makes sense for the company that installed it and runs it in partnership with the energy firm because of the electricity being so cheap.
It's very noisy, but it's a beautiful noise. This noise means we're making money.
In Bitcoin, there are no banks or financial institutions, so every transaction needs to be checked and verified and added to the public list of payments by Bitcoin mining computers. As an incentive, this network of volunteer miners is rewarded with new coins. At the moment, the mine here earns about $5 in Bitcoin per day per machine. But with all that number crunching, wear and tear is an issue. Engineers like Kevin have set up a computer repair workshop in the bush.
It is a chipboard. It contains the chips, and the chips are very, very, important.
It's inside these chips that these crazy calculations are being done.
Yeah.
It allows you to get the Bitcoin.
Of course, some are going to have issues. Yeah, based on the power they're consuming, based on the environment they're in.
Kevin's Kenya-based company Gridless has 6 sites like this in 3 different countries across Africa. It's a lot of travel to a remote area.
Thank you. Due to time constraints, we won't play the whole video, but we can always share the materials for you if you want to learn more in the future. So the question is, can Malawi become a Bitcoin mining hub? Absolutely, because you guys have hydropower that is heavily underutilized. Even though Gridless is doing some mining in Malawi, they don't have a very big site. Their Malawi site is one of the smallest. So other companies in other countries like the DRC and Kenya, it was the Bitcoin mining company that even invested in building the energy infrastructure. So it is also an opportunity for our government struggling to provide electricity to their people, to bring in those companies so that they can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They mine the Bitcoin and they provide revenues to the government, and on the other hand, they can connect families and communities to that grid. But for us to get there, we need to have a regulatory framework, which we're gonna come back to. So Bitcoin offers an avenue to the government to earn dollars. Because today, the reason why tobacco is one of the highest crops in Malawi is because it's the only way, or one of the few ways that the government of Malawi can earn dollars. Why do they need dollars? In order to buy raw materials outside of the country. And the less dollars they have, the more difficulty in accessing raw materials, and the more pressure on the Malawian Central Bank to devalue the Malawian kwacha. But with Bitcoin mining, by mining Bitcoin, you have automatic access to Forex, because Bitcoin can be traded directly on the global market as dollars. So Bitcoin can be an avenue to bring dollars into the country. On one aspect, generate revenue for the government, but reduce pressure on the Reserve Bank, and as a matter of fact, also reducing the possibility of your currency losing value and you losing out on your labor continuously, as well as your savings. So some countries even went as far as creating a Bitcoin reserve. Why? Because like I mentioned before, there will only be 21 billion Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin, of course, is divisible in 100,000 units. However, countries know that in the future, whatever country controls the largest reserve of Bitcoin will have more power. So some nations like the US, Germany, Japan, Switzerland, they already have a Bitcoin reserve and they continue buying aggressively. Unfortunately, most African governments are still sleeping on it because they don't understand the opportunity that come with it. So what do we need to make this work? On one aspect, we need policies. We need a regulatory framework. The government needs to see the opportunities and the potential, and they need to prepare the terrain that will be attractive for those companies to come in. On the other aspects, we need to train people, because when those companies come, they will be needing people to work in a variety of industries. And here I have talked about the different career opportunities that are available in the Bitcoin sector. I always tell young people who approach me whenever they hear about Bitcoin, how do I make money with Bitcoin? Forget about getting rich quickly with the price going up and you making money. It's about building solutions. It's about building your skills and being employable by selling those skills, either by working for those companies or by building your own startups. Here you have opportunities as a software developer, cybersecurity analyst, opportunities as an electrical engineer, as a hardware technician, energy developer, and so on and so forth. So the opportunities are tremendous. Even in the business sector, there are people who find a niche in marketing, in finance by focusing on crypto regulation, on Bitcoin regulation, and so on and so forth. So the opportunities are tremendous, and this is where you can make money, by sharpening your skills and by ensuring that you make yourself employable globally. Because the good thing is a lot of jobs are coming in this space. Over the past 5 years, Bitcoin has been the industry that has seen the biggest growth in job opportunities. It was only seconded by AI since 2024. Millions of jobs are being created in the field, and the advantage is that a lot of those jobs are remote. You can live in Malawi and you are working for a company that is based in Singapore, in America, in Germany, in Nigeria, and so on and so forth. So now let us talk about the convergence between Bitcoin and AI, because everybody is talking about AI. The good thing is that AI is growing so rapidly that today we're talking about AI agents. We are moving to a space where people will no longer be needed to perform certain tasks. AI agents are already performing those tasks digitally. The AI agents can now go and create your Twitter account for you while you are sleeping. It can post tweets for you while you're sleeping. You can prepare your AI agent to perform millions of tasks. And here is the interesting part. We're now moving into a global economy of AI with what they call decentralized AI market, where AIs have to be purchasing goods and services online. But most importantly, we have what they call the data market, because AI needs to be fed by information and data. So a hospital in Malawi can conduct a research and be selling the data from their hospital on an AI global market. But here's the trick. The AI agents cannot use banks to make payments. Why? Because the computing power that they purchase and the transactions that they make require very tiny bit of money. So for one transaction, for example, the AI agent is going to need to spend $0.0001. How do you process that transaction via the bank and still be profitable? It's almost impossible. So the AI agent are now starting to use Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is now becoming the currency of choice of AI agents. So it's no longer just about humans using money, it's machines using money. So Bitcoin is offering all of those opportunities, and it's only those who join early enough that can tag a niche for themselves. Sorry. So what are the opportunities for young people in this space? AI and Bitcoin data center operators, engineers, Lightning Network developers, decentralized AI marketplace builders, and so on and so forth. The opportunities are endless. So for us in Africa, what should we be looking at? Africa has a lot of untapped hydropower. In some countries, they even have what they call geothermal power. We can leverage those to produce money for our people and reduce the financial pressure on our governments that is leading to our extreme poverty. And for this to happen, we are going to need to expand our energy infrastructure. That's on the government. We are going to need to invest in education. Universities must start teaching AI, blockchain, energy systems, because that is where the future is heading. And unless we are trained to respond to this demand, other people will be coming to our continent to perform those jobs because we are already using those products. And at the end, we will only be consumers and not producers and will benefit nothing. And finally, we need policies. The governments have to push for policies and enact policies that will make the terrain peaceful and attractive for investors in the space. So I'm going to stop here. I welcome you to learn more on our website. And I'm going to let my colleague Prince now teach you about Bitcoin, how you can start using it. This is a basic Bitcoin introduction course for those who don't have knowledge, how you can start using it. But most importantly, as students, your responsibility is to go with this information and do your research. The more you learn, the more knowledgeable you are, the more chances you will have to make this profitable to you. Thank you.
Hello. Right. So my name is Prince, and I work with the Africa Bitcoin Community Hub. We've been in Malawi for the past few days, and it's been interesting to see all the things that we are seeing, all the challenges that we've noticed, and how we've seen a lot of young people being enthusiastic to learn about the things that are happening around them. A few years ago, or I think a couple of decades, we've had a term which says that the world is a global village. How many of you can relate to that? That the world is a global village. And it gives us this idea that the world has become so small. And one of the key things that is making that possible is technology. Because at first, if you read about how our continent was colonized, people had to travel for months all the way before they could reach the continent. But now, with your telephone or with your mobile phone, you can call someone on a video call, all because technology is changing how we live or how we relate to each other across the continent or across the world. So we've put together this guide that we want to share with you. It is put specifically for you guys because you are so special to us. So I think we deserve some round of applause. And it's going to be an exchange because we have mixed it with your local language. So as I am speaking the English, you would also be teaching me the local language. What's the name of the local language? Chichewa. Is that right? Okay. So please, who can pronounce or share with me what is written on the screen in Chichewa? Or I should try first? Should I try first? Okay. It's Kodi Ndalama Intiyani. Did I get it? Okay. So Farida has spoken a lot about money. I want to find out what have you learned from a presentation about money. What is your idea about what money is? I know she mentioned some 2 things about money. If you can tell me from her presentation what money is. And we have gifts. So the person that gives the best answer will select the person for a gift. You can help to select.
Money, it is a mode of exchange.
Money is a mode of exchange. So we take only one from you. So money is a mode of exchange. Any other person? Okay, we have a lady.
Money is something of value used for exchange. Okay. Money is something of value used for exchange.
Is that a repetition? Or if you are stop at something of value, but I think she deserves. So it's something of value, and then something also used for exchange. Any other person has another perspective of what money is? I think we have another gentleman.
It is a unit of account.
It's a unit of account. That's correct. So across the world, there are trades going on. There are people transacting businesses. And one of the things that they use is money. But before the money that we have today, which is in paper, which is in digital currency, which is in metal as coins came, what we used to do at first was what? Who can tell me? What we used to do whenever there was trade, what was used to replace money at first? Farida spoke about it. So if it's not from Farida's presentation, it's wrong.
Barter trade.
Barter trade. A round of applause for him. So long before there was any of these coins, paper, digital currency, there was barter trade ongoing. Which means that if I have tomatoes and you have salt, and I need salt, I have to give you my tomatoes and you give me what? Your salt. But it became difficult in a way that if you have tomatoes and I have salt and I don't want what you have, then there is no way anything can go on. Do you get it? And it was also during that time that there were a lot of conflicts. So if 2 communities are fighting and one has salt and one has tomatoes, there's absolutely no way that they will be able to trade among themselves. So the salt people will keep their salt and use for whatever. Then the tomato people will also keep the tomatoes and use it for what they want to have. So it created a thought of innovation all across the world. So people started looking for how can we solve that problem. And that's how come money has evolved. So we used to have barter trade. It went to cowries. It went to metal coins. It became paper. It became mobile money. And now we are in the era of digital currency. Is that right? Can anybody recall what I've just said about the evolution of money? Can we all get it? Should I ask the question? So we spoke about what? We moved from barter trade. We started using cowries. We started using metals, coins. We started using paper. We went into what? Mobile money. Then we are now in the era of digital currency. Now, one of those digital currencies that we know, that we are so confident about, that has been tested and proved, is what we refer to as Bitcoin. Should I read what is on the screen? Kodi Bitcoin Intiyani. So from Farida's presentation, can anyone tell me in one sentence what they understand about Bitcoin? Farida has spoken a lot. What is your understanding of what Bitcoin is?
It is financial freedom for Africa.
And another round of applause. It is financial freedom, not only for Africa, but for the entire world. It's financial freedom. Any other? Farida spoke for 1 hour. Yes.
It is the first decentralized currency.
It is the best decentralized currency. Round of applause. It is the best decentralized currency. So money that exists on the internet, he says what? It is decentralized currency. As we all know, the internet is everywhere. It's decentralized. So everybody can take up their phone and do whatever they want to do with it. Bitcoin is something that you can also hold in kwacha notes, but it's real. It is like the money in your Airtel mobile money. Can you remember the first time somebody introduced you to mobile money? You realize that, no, this is not real. This doesn't work. We met someone and said, no, this is a scam. How can my money be on my phone? And probably Airtel money or TMN is the one holding it. That is the idea about Bitcoin. It's something that is digital. It's something that is on the internet. It's something that you can have on your phone. It's not something that you can hold as your paper notes, but it is real. The same way, if you have money on your Airtel money, you know for sure, well, I have 200 kwacha. Even though you don't have it in your pocket, you know that there is money somewhere. What makes Bitcoin special? There are so many cryptocurrencies in the world. We've spoken about there are about 30,000 cryptocurrencies. But what makes Bitcoin so special? The first thing, Farida mentioned that it was created by cyberpunks called Satoshi Nakamoto. And she also mentioned that up to date, no one knows who those people are or who they are or who the person is. So it tells us that no bank, no individual, or no government controls Bitcoin. So it means if you have Bitcoin, it's for you and you only. You don't have anyone coming to decide whether you have broken any law or not. No bank, no government, or what? No individual controls it. The second point is it is run by thousands of computers worldwide, which means that there are people who have set up computers worldwide, either through mining, and they are mining this Bitcoin and controlling the confirmation of all the nodes on the platform. And every single one of them is working concurrently and confirming transactions. So it means that when you have your money is safe, because there is no point in time that all the thousands of computers controlling Bitcoin will go off at once. One can spoil in somewhere, but there's reliability that, or there's an assurance that all these computers are working to ensure that your money is made safe. We also spoke about there are only 21 million of Bitcoin that exist. And not only do they exist, none can ever be created after it. So aside those 21 million Bitcoins, none can be created, and they exist over there, and you can actually monitor the transactions on the platform. So let's think about Bitcoin in this way. We spoke about Ether money, we spoke about TMN. This quote says, Bitcoin is like Airtel money, but without Airtel in the middle. You send money directly to another person anywhere in the world without any company making a cut. And the key word here is what? A cut. How much does it cost to transfer money from one Airtel money to another Airtel money? I saw somebody opening their mouth. Are you always discouraged because of the charges? You are discouraged because of the charges. Wow. That is another solution that Bitcoin has solved. What even makes it worse is that how do you transfer money from here to another country? How many of you have tried transferring money from Malawi to Mozambique before? Different platforms. And you have to go through a third party before you can ever be able to do it. But with Bitcoin, as you are here, you just need the person's address and you can send the money anywhere in the world. So let's make a comparison between Bitcoin and mobile money. Mobile money is controlled by a telecom or maybe by the central bank of your government, but Bitcoin has no company controlling it. Mobile money, if you do something bad, they can decide to freeze your account. But in Bitcoin, the money belongs to you. It belongs in your wallet. Mobile money on Airtel money or TMN only will work in Malawi, and same applies to most of the mobile monies in various countries. But with Bitcoin, the same value that I moved from Ghana to here is the same value that I have in my Bitcoin. So which means that I can use it anywhere in the world. When you are transferring money across Airtel money to Airtel money or Airtel money to TMN, there are very high fees that the networks charge. But in Bitcoin, anywhere you go, there are options that you have to actually choose from to even reduce the rates that you'll be charged when, or the rate that will be deducted from your transaction. Mobile money in Ghana, by 9 p.m., everybody is closed. Because I'm sure in Blantyre, by 7 p.m., all the mobile monies are closed. But with Bitcoin, it's available for you anytime, anywhere, 24 hours, and there's no holiday attached to it. So let's see a real example. If your brother works in South Africa and you want to send him money, you have to pay big fees before you can send the money. Same thing, if anybody from Malawi wants to send money to Ghana, let's make it realistic. If you want to send money to Ghana, how are you going to do it? You have to go to the bank and do it. There is no way your mobile money will be able to do it for you. But with Bitcoin, I just need to send you my address, and then you are done. If you go to the bank, you would have to go and provide the address of the person in Ghana you are sending the money to, ask the bank or tell the bank the reason. But with Bitcoin, you don't need to provide all those information because it identifies that it is your money and you have authority over it. So how does Bitcoin work? This one, let me have your help. I want someone to read it out for me. How does Bitcoin work? Anybody wants to teach me?
Kwadi Bitcoin imagwira nchiro banji.
Kodi Bitcoin imbagwira inchito Mbawanji. Banji. So this is the technology behind Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a blockchain, and there's an illustration here that in a village, the chief keeps record of all lands and agreements. But if the chief is dishonest and changes the records, what happens? Can someone answer? If in a village you have a chief that keeps all the information about lands and agreement that are signed, what do you think that if the chief is dishonest, what will happen? There will be disaster. The chief can confiscate the documents, can change the land title, can transfer it to another person's name. Do you get my point? But in this case, in the blockchain technology, everybody has a copy of the same book. Every single person has a copy of the same book. And if anyone cheats, everyone else can see it and point it out. So that is the level of transparency that the blockchain technology has given Bitcoin. That there is a ledger, big ledger, that in case I even share my Bitcoin address with you, you can actually go and even look at my transactions. So in the case where we decided as a team to put our money in the same Bitcoin address, I can always go and check the transactions that go there. And that's the same thing that happens across board. Every single person has access to this ledger. So if we see anybody that is dishonest, we are able to what? To point out and say, no, this is not legit. And it's something that has made Bitcoin very transparent and very trusted by millions of people around the world. So how does the blockchain works? First of all, it's a digital record that tracks every Bitcoin transaction. That's the first thing. The blockchain works what? As a record book that tracks every transaction. Second, we mentioned that there are thousands of computers worldwide operating at the same time, and each of them have a copy of that blockchain. Thirdly, when you send Bitcoin, all the copies update at the same time. So it means when there's a transaction over here, all of them are notified that there's a transaction going on here in Malawi. And no one can erase or fake a transaction. I cannot go and send you a Bitcoin, or I cannot go and do like a bank transfer, and I'll screenshot it, and I'll send it to you, and then it will be fake. With Bitcoin, that is not possible. You can send a Bitcoin or do a fake transaction. And finally, this has been regarded as the most honest record system ever created. And this is a technology that is being trusted by millions of people around the world. So we are getting technical. Are we getting to understand what Bitcoin is? Are you sure? Should I ask questions? Should I ask questions? Now, one of the most interesting things about Bitcoin is what we called the nodes. Bitcoin, anybody has said about nodes before? Bitcoin nodes. One person? Okay. So a node is a computer that keeps a full copy of the blockchain. A node, it's a computer. We've already spoken about what? There are thousands of computers around the world that are working concurrently. So now a node is a computer that keeps full record of all the blockchains. Think of it like a village elder again. Now we have moved from a chief to what? An elder. Think of it like a village elder who keeps the complete record book. And then there are thousands of those elders across the world working at the same time. Okay, Farida.
If you permit, I kind of like wanted to add a little bit of information to help beginners. So when we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about two things: the technology and the cryptocurrency. So it's like the internet, for example. The internet is a technology. Facebook is a product of the technology. But in the Bitcoin world, the currency and the technology are both called Bitcoin, which leads to sometimes confusion. So for us Bitcoiners, when we are talking about the technology, we use capital B, and when we are talking about the currency, we use lowercase b. So on the technology that is called blockchain, there are millions of transactions and informations that are saved on it. Not all information that are on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain, have to do with the currency. We need to, first of all, talk about the usage of that technology itself. So before the creation of the blockchain, information was centralized on individual computers. So when you have Google, for example, Google has its own servers. Amazon has its servers, Facebook has its servers, and some companies are just in the business of providing servers on which data is stored, and when you build a website, those informations are on that server. But the servers, the way they used to operate, they were centralized, they were owned by entities and people. And that actually causes a little bit of issues. Sometimes they are hacked, and people can just access the information. This has led to billions of dollars in losses. People could hack banks. They can hack, if they hack your university servers, they can access the data of all the students. They hack a hospital server. They can access the data of patients. So it also poses a security problem. And in some cases, national security problems, because if states' critical defense information are on servers, if anybody hacks it, it becomes a problem. So the blockchain invention changed how information used to be saved on servers by saying, let us democratize how information is saved. Instead of everything being saved on one server, we are going to save the information in pieces of blocks. And those pieces of blocks are going to be run on what they call a node. And anyone in the world can use their computer to operate a node. So once you download the Bitcoin node on your computer, you can start contributing to this technology. So the information, instead of being saved on one server, is going to be saved in tiny pieces on multiples of computers. So before you can hack the block to get one information, you will have to hack the chain of all the blocks on the blockchain before you can access it, which becomes impossible because you have thousands and thousands out there. And that actually revolutionized a lot of things. What happened was that more and more companies, institutions were moving their information to the blockchain. People were building new products and services on the blockchain. And the interesting thing is it solves a lot of problems. I'm going to give you a very basic example. In my country, and I'm sure it's the case in many other countries, one person sells the same land to 25 people, and they fight themselves in court for 50 years. My father has been in court over one land since I was like 7 years old, and he still goes to court about it. At some point, I'm like, just give up. So the land issues are one of the key problems, because the ledger we have, if it just takes to corrupt someone, you go to the land registry, you corrupt someone, and he changes the data in their ledger. How do you, as the buyer, prove that you bought it first? That is just one case of fraud. And the same fraud can happen in a variety of ways. Let's say you have your university record with the university here, and somebody at the registrar office has the ability to go and change your grade. If that person is corrupt and is able to do that, how do you go back and prove that those were not your grades 20 years from today? Maybe the person has already died. So the good thing about the blockchain is the Bitcoin blockchain is that it's decentralized, but every single transaction is time-stamped and it stays for life. You can never erase an information on the Bitcoin blockchain. So if you lied, your lie is going to stay there. If you say the truth is going to stay there. So it enhances transparencies. That is actually the value that the Bitcoin blockchain creates. So in order to keep this sustainable, because they want to decentralize, they have to find an incentive for people to volunteer their device and their energy into this technology. Why will you buy a computer, keep it plugged to process information online if there is nothing in it for you? That is when they had the idea of creating a currency. If your computer processes the information, The computer that actually confirms the information will have a code. That code is what we call Bitcoin. So just to break it down for you so you know the difference between the technology and the currency. And that technology, you have thousands of apps and services and products that are also built on it, which is a whole new industry. So when we talk about blockchain and Bitcoin blockchain, just want you to see the difference between the two. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Any questions? Or I should ask the question. Should I ask the question? Okay, there's a question.
Said that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. You said that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. What happens when the economy grows beyond that?
So there is a timeline that Farida mentioned that after the year 2150, then there will be extra Bitcoins that will be created.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Yes.
You mentioned there's no middleman, but later you also explained that if we're transacting between two countries, there's a low service fee. So who gets that fee?
It's the mining companies that get the fees. They are the ones that are confirming the transactions, or the computers that we spoke about. Yeah.
So which means if you have a mining company, you'll be the one getting the transaction.
Yeah, so if you watch the video, you realize that the gentleman was happy that the noise that was produced in the container is making him happy because he makes money out of that. Yeah, so mining companies make money from confirming transactions, and then they take a fee from whatever is being transacted. Okay, so good.
Okay, so I'm interested in the answer that you, yeah? Okay, the answer that you gave to that guy about the supply of Bitcoin. I didn't get it. How much do you say? About the supply of Bitcoin, that if it like the economy grows, what happens next? Yeah.
So I will explain further, but I mentioned that we have currently 21 million Bitcoins available till the year 2150. 2140.
All right, thank you.
Is it possible to save Bitcoin?
Exactly. That was the question I was hoping to hear. There were two questions about where do I put my Bitcoin? Because we've been speaking about Bitcoin, talking about blockchain, but I wanted to find out people asking about, okay, this Bitcoin thing, if I get it, where do I keep it? And that takes us to our next topic of wallets. So we all have mobile money and we all save our money on mobile money. But when you have Bitcoin, we have two things, or we have one thing. It's called wallets, and they're divided into two. We have the hot wallets and then the cold wallets. The hot wallets are the ones that you hold on your phone as an app. And then the cold wallets are the ones that you hold on hardware devices. So the wallet is a digital wallet that you can hold on your phone or on your computer. And it has two things. It has a public address and then a private key. The public address is more of like your bank account number. In case somebody wants to send money to you, that's what you share with the person, and the person can use that to transact the transfer. But the private key is the key or the password to your wallet. And that is something that you can never share. If anyone in the world has access to that private key, then they can actually even steal all your Bitcoin or erase your wallet. So as I've mentioned, we have two types of wallets. The first one is a hot wallet, which you can download on your phone, and then when you connect to the internet, then it works. And it's convenient for daily use, and it operates like in case, as we are here in Malawi, we don't have Kwacha, we can use it to be making payments every single day. But if you talk about the cold wallets, they are hard drives. Some of them comes in the form of USB or comes in the form of the normal hard drives that we know, where you can actually store your Bitcoin on. That one is mostly used for longer term. If you want to keep your Bitcoin, you don't want to be spending it regularly, so that you don't have to be carrying it around. Because when that thing gets missing, unless you have a means, or maybe the platform that you're using provides a means, that you might be able to also lose your Bitcoin completely. So that's one of the reasons why it's always good to have your money on the hot wallet if you are going to use it for daily transactions. So these are the ways. If you lose your private key, your Bitcoin is gone forever. There is no customer care to call. As we've said, no company owns Bitcoin. So there's no customer care to call. But when you are downloading the application or the hot wallets, they give you certain keys to put down. And you have to write those keys and put them on the paper and hide them in a very safe place. That is one means of security that you can actually use to protect your Bitcoin. In case someone might be asking, how about if I lose my phone on the hot wallet? If you are able to have all those security keys, then you are able to re-access your money on the same platform, on the same app. That you would try and download some apps, and those that have been asking questions so far will try and give you some Bitcoins.
Okay, so before you proceed, yeah, I had a question, I was cut out. Yeah, my concern was now about Satoshi Nakamoto. You mentioned there was the event of Bitcoin, right? Yeah, so my concern is you said nobody knows about Satoshi Nakamoto to this date, right? Yeah, so how do we know that, well, that lack of transparency, how do we know that there isn't like a switch somewhere where like it's embedded in the system where they can just flip it and then all the money is gone? How do we know that they're not playing a long game so they can just flip it at some point?
Okay, so we spoke about the blockchain, which is the technology. And we also mentioned that the blockchain is so transparent. Yes, it's so transparent, and it also serves as an open source. The open source means that anybody at all can take that technology and replicate it. The same way it is transparent, you can also track all the transactions on it. In case there is a movement anywhere on the blockchain, anybody can notice it. We've also mentioned that there are thousands of computers running all the nodes. So of course, if there is anything happening at all, we'll be able to detect it and raise an alarm. Your concern is about if your money vanishes because of Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah. It is a legit question, but I think for people who are not technical, they can get confused. It is open source technology. If you are an IT developer, you will know that open source technology means technology that is open to anyone. I'm going to give you an example of open source technology, electricity. Nobody owns electricity. It was invented. The formula is out there. Anybody who wants to produce electricity will just use the same means to produce electricity. So it is open source technology. Any contributor, any IT developer can contribute to the code. And there are thousands of Bitcoin developers that are contributing to the code every day. They are called Bitcoin core contributors. What they do is that they are writing codes to reinforce the technology, to make sure it is more and more transparent, more and more decentralized. What Bitcoin is today is not what it used to be when it was first launched. That's why the value at creation was $0 to 1 cent to 10 cents. Today, 1 Bitcoin is like $70,000. And it is estimated that in the next decade, it could reach $1 million. It has been growing. So it has been the most rapidly growing asset globally since the creation of humanity. No other form of asset has seen a growth of more than 300,000% within a span of 10 decades. Why? Because the stronger it is, the more confidence institutions are having in it, they are also adopting it, and it's increasing a value. And what also makes Bitcoin very powerful is that the numbers are set at 21 million. And like I said before, if those who created it knew it would become this powerful, I don't think they would have made it open source, because now everybody is owned by everyone. It's no longer the property of an individual. And the most interesting part is, because it's 21 million, it makes it scarce. And scarcity, if you study economics, it drives price up. That's the reason why the price is going up. One Bitcoin, is divisible in 100,000 units, 1 Bitcoin. So the consequence is that as the price of Bitcoin is going up, the smallest unit of Bitcoin, which is called the SAT, a Satoshi, that's the name they give to it to honor the inventor, also goes up. So the more we are going towards the 21 million number, the higher the price is going to go, because the good is becoming scarce. It's the same thing as diamond and gold. The less gold and diamonds you have on the market, the more expensive gold and diamonds becomes. It just responds to the rules of supply and demand, like basic economic. Meanwhile, many other cryptocurrencies that were created by individuals and banks and institutions later on, they copied the Bitcoin model, but they are the properties of those entities. When you look at Solana, for example, it is owned by those who built Solana. As a result, they can change the game, they can change the supply, and that makes it vulnerable to loss and many other things, which is why, since the beginning of this conversation, we have been talking about Bitcoin, 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 not crypto. Because usually people put everything in the same basket, but they don't have the same features. Thank you.
Answered?
Yeah, so can we assume that this Satoshi Nakamoto just did this like out of generosity, that they just created something and then left it out there, like there's no way they can control it in some kind of a way that's special than anyone else?
To answer your question, I will say yes and no. Yes, because Bitcoin blockchain, the blockchain technology, was invented by cyberpunks. I will invite you to go on Google and research cyberpunks. It was a movement of computer engineers who, beyond being engineers, also have some very strong ideologies. I will also invite each one of you to read the Bitcoin white paper. These are literally the first generation of hackers globally, and they have problems. People will call them politically, they'll call them libertarians. They had problem with government and the way governments and banks and multinational corporations, the big corporations, control data, control money, and control information. So the invention of blockchain was an attempt at the coup to government and corporations having full control over money and data. So they thought about, how do we use code to counter government control over money? Government decide the value of money to money and movement money. How do we use neutralization data movement? They are open channel that they started building Bitcoin as a technology. Satoshi was the one who came up with the first block and the idea. But ever since, more than 19,000 developers have contributed to the project. It is no longer a project of Satoshi. He may have been the one with the idea and may have started it, but if Bitcoin is now to a state where anybody in the world can access it, it's because thousands of developers have been volunteering their time to contribute to this technology. If you are contributing code to Bitcoin Core, you don't get paid for it. So there are some institutions that provide grants to it, but most of it was just what I will call internet activists.
Oh, yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, another question here. Hello. Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask about the Bitcoin adoption. So back in 2016, Elon Musk, under his Tesla company, was accepting Bitcoin as payment for if you want to buy a Tesla product. So 3 years down the line, he had to pause that decision that no, we are no longer accepting Bitcoin because the mining of the Bitcoin now, as you have said, with the increasing demand, the computation for mining becomes very intense. And because we need more computation power, it is thus that the computation power, the energy that's powering the computation is not from green energy. I hope you understand about the climate change, so I'm going to connect to that. So because they see that, okay, the more we are trying to mine the Bitcoin using energy that is not green, we are affecting our environment. So for that reason, he had to pause the adoption. So my question is, with the increasing use of non-green energy in mining the Bitcoins, what if there is a policy by the government or the world over that, okay, we are no longer adopting Bitcoin as a method of payment? Because if I understood you, money becomes only money when I'm willing to accept it as having value. So how can we address this? Thank you.
I think your question has different components. You also mentioned that about if government wants to stop the, hello? You were asking about if government wants to stop the transaction of Bitcoin. Is that what you mean? But we've also understood that Bitcoin is for the people. We are the ones that control it. It's not about governments that can control anything. So I don't think it lies in any government to say that they would want to ban Bitcoin because nobody can ban a technology. Do you get my point? So government cannot say that if Malawi says they are banning it, maybe other countries will continue to accept it. But it is the money for the people. It's not money for a certain group of people. So we talk about it being decentralized. If Bitcoin is solving my daily problems, why won't I continue to use it? Do you get my point? So there are various instances where if you want to do international trade, and maybe Malawi does not have US dollars, how do I go and transfer my business and buy things from China? And if Bitcoin is the only solution available for everybody, they will of course use it. And that's the one that is driving the adoption to go up. Because people are using it to solve their daily problems where governments are failing to provide them with Forex or to provide them with infrastructure to be able to go ahead and transact their businesses. If Bitcoin offers lower transaction fees to me than using Airtel money, the people will have the right to decide. It's not about any institution deciding anywhere. I hope I've made my point clear. Thank you. And I think most of us, our fear has been about security. How about if I lose my money and all those kind of stuff? That takes us to keeping our, on the scene or in the ecosystem, we have had about almost 30,000 cryptocurrencies that have been created. And most of them, 95% of them, have been discovered to be scams. And people are smart. They've seen this as a technology. They know people will want to use it. So the first thing they do is create scam platforms all over. So you will be here, somebody will come to you and tell you that they've created this application, put money in it, it's Bitcoin, and I will increase it for you next week. By the time you've realized, your money is gone. Your money is gone. So there are fake experts or fake Bitcoin experts who are asking for money online. They're asking that what? They will what? Either trade for you or give them their money or give them your money and then you become a millionaire. My brother, please don't do that. There are also online ads, and some of us that like playing free online games and stuff or free things online, you go and then you start seeing some pop-up. Bitcoin, add your money to increase, please. Anytime you see those kind of stuff, know that they are scams. The good thing is, if you see someone promising you $1 million for doing nothing at all, just know that as long as it sounds so good, it is fake. So don't be in a rush that because Bitcoin is going up and all those kind of stuff, you want to give your money to someone. That is the reason why we are here, to teach you the basics so that you can have enough information to control your own money. So we want to make a comparison. when you go out there, I'm sure you've heard about Solana, you have heard about Ethereum, you have heard about a lot of coins. What is the difference between Bitcoin and them? First of all, we've mentioned that there is no founder controlling it. But for most of the coins that you know on the market, there is somebody behind it. Bitcoin has been in existence for over 15 years, and no one has complained that their money has gone missing. No one has complained about anything, unless they are using a third-party application or coin. But in the most altcoins, one day you'll be there, and then all of a sudden your money has vanished. The reason is because if I create a coin today, and tomorrow I see that 1,000 people have adopted it, and I see that there's no hope that more people will join, what do you think I will do? I will take all the money and just vanish. And there have been so many stories of that, of people creating coins, promising higher returns, promising better services or better things than Bitcoin, and people just jump on it. But at the end of the day, most of them have turned out to be fraud, and people have lost their money because of that. And as we've said, there's a fixed supply of 21 million, but what they mostly do is that they offer unlimited. Like how my brother was asking, when would the next one be created after 21 million? So they have a solution for that, just because they want to deceive you to be able to give them their money or give them your money to be able to make more money. And then when the time is ripe, they just clear everything and then they vanish from the scene. So be very careful about what altcoins. Just focus on Bitcoin and just take your time to read more about it before you are able to put in your money. One of the key things that people are also scared of, aside the scams, is about the volatility. Bitcoin, when it was created 15 years ago, started from 1 cent, and it has risen all the way to over $120,000, which means if you had 1 Bitcoin or at 1 cent 15 years ago, there was a point in time where that 1 Bitcoin was worth $120,000. Today, it is hovering around $70,000 to $68,000. One thing that people want to do is that, how do I prevent my Bitcoin from moving up and down? Because there are some people, they don't have the heart. Now, but if tomorrow Bitcoin goes up to 20,000, but the reason too is that most people are not using Bitcoin because of the price tag of it. They are using it because of the solution is sourced for them in their communities. But for people that want to keep it as a stable currency, there have been people that have developed various applications called stable coins on the blockchain, that when you buy it, it tax or it prices your Bitcoin at the dollar value that you bought it. So it means that if you buy the Bitcoin at 20,000, it remains 20,000 forever. It doesn't change, it doesn't go up. But what you get to lose is that in case Bitcoin goes up, then you miss out on those opportunity. But it also protects you in case Bitcoin goes down, your money is still at the same point. And two of those is what we call USDT or USDC. So I'm sure when you are learning about Bitcoin, you come across people talking about USDT or USDC. These are stable coins built on Bitcoin that pegs your currency at a dollar level. So which means that whether Bitcoin goes up or it comes down, these people have solved that problem of volatility for people. Not all stable coins are equal. You have to know the differentiation between them. And I think it would be good if you take time to read more about it in case you are planning to buy any of them, so that you protect yourself, because the company can freeze your stable coin if they are ordered to, because it's a private company, it's a business somewhere. If there is any irregularity somewhere and they catch them, they are able to what? Stop that transaction or to stop your... So, we've been talking about wallets. People have been thinking about how to get their Bitcoins. The first thing that you have to do is to download a wallet. How many of you here have a Bitcoin wallet? 2 people? 3? Hey, we want to give Bitcoins out and nobody wants the money. Are you sure? Which wallets? What's the name of the wallet that you have? Someone else. No. Why are you giving your money to someone else to keep for you? You trust the person. Okay. So, as we've mentioned, there are a lot of scams around. So you have to be very careful about the wallet that you download. I can wake up today and create a wallet and put on Google Play or the App Store, and I can decide to what? To close it anytime I want. So you have to be very careful. There's something called self-custodial wallets. The self-custodial wallets are wallets that gives you the rights, that the money belongs to you. You have a private key. You have something that you can have to access the money anytime and anywhere you want. So 3 of those wallets we will recommend to you today, and we want every of you to download it. The first one is called Wallet of Satoshi. We want to share Bitcoin. So we have Wallet of Satoshi, we have Moon, and then we have Blue wallets. Okay, if somebody has, he's ready to give somebody some Bitcoin. So those are the 3 wallets, and they are all free. And then when you download them, they will give you codes. And those codes are very important. Those codes are the things that protect your money. So in case you lose your phone or you lose your device, you can use those codes to retrieve your money on another application or another device. So the first thing is you download the app. When they give you the code, make sure you write it down. You can print it and keep it in a safe place. And we spoke about Bitcoin being broken down into 100,000 Satoshis. So currently Bitcoin is trading at about $68,000. But I know that we don't have that money. So Bitcoin has been broken down into 100,000 sats, which means 100,000 Satoshis make 1 Bitcoin. So it has given us the liberty that in case you want to purchase 5,000 kwacha of Bitcoin today, you can be able to do that.
I think I want to elaborate a bit on the custodial and non-custodial wallets because it's important. So the custodial wallet means that you, as the owner of the Bitcoin, you have no custody over your money. It's like Google Drive, for example. When you put information on Google Drive, Google literally owns the data. If Google shuts down, you will never retrieve that information unless Google is operating. Google can also literally confiscate the amount. Now, a lot of custodial wallets are still good because they are registered in countries where the regulations are very strong. They can just disappear with your accounts like that, which is why it's really important to do your research before you choose a custodial wallet. It's like the bank. The bank has your money. If the bank operates in a country where there's no regulation, the bank can just one day disappear and there's no way you can retrieve your money. But the ones we recommend are the non-custodial one, which means the company that's built it has no custody over the information on the wallet. And most non-custodial wallets are open source projects. There are people who contribute to them, they volunteer their time, they don't make profits out of it. So it is built and maintained by developers who are literally volunteering their time because the Bitcoiners care a lot about decentralization and privacy. So for the custodial wallets, they have some advantages. If you lose your key phrase, you can always contact the company and try to reset your information because they have a database where they store the information. They may not have your password, but with the information of your account, they can help you retrieve your information. But for the non-custodial ones, the company has zero information over your private key. You lose your private key, you lose your money for good. So if what you care about is privacy and security, always opt for a non-custodial wallet, such as these ones. Wallet of Satoshi, Moon, Blue. If you care about accessibility, you know you may not easily retrieve your money, you can go for a custodial one, but do your research to make sure the company is registered in a country that is safe. I mean, you go and download the wallet from Azerbaijan if you lose your money. Good luck to you. All right.
Good. So as I've mentioned, you can buy Bitcoin and start as low as 5,000 kwacha. And then if you want to use it as a means of saving, most of the times we advise that if you want to do a long-term investment in Bitcoin, you should be money that maybe you don't need now. Where maybe tomorrow it goes down, then your heart will get broken. Okay. How many of you have downloaded the wallets? So he will come and scan. He will come and scan the QR codes on the wallet that you have downloaded. Have you guys taken? I've not seen anybody writing the code. So, are you sure if you give you the money, it's not gone? Okay. So beyond us sharing the Bitcoin or Satoshis with you, there are some places where you can buy Bitcoin over here. The first one is Yellow Card. How many of you have heard about Yellow Card? Not the one on the field, not the one referees have been given. So Yellow Card is a company operating here in Malawi. You can go onto their platform and buy Bitcoin on their platform. There's also an app called BitNob. It's down. How? In Malawi? They're only dealing with businesses. Okay, but in Ghana, they are operating. So maybe if you find yourself in Ghana, yes. Then there are other platforms called BitNob, No One's, and then Binance. I'm sure Binance, you guys have heard about Binance. So you can use Binance to buy Bitcoin as well. So these are some of the platforms. And as Farida mentioned, if you buy Bitcoin on any of these platforms, the best thing to do is to transfer it to your custodian wallet. You don't have to keep your Bitcoin over here. So the same way someone has said Yellow Card has closed down, your money might just vanish. So the best thing to do is to move the money into your self-custodial wallet so that you have access to it at any time that you want it. And you can download all these apps from their websites or the App Store. So as I've mentioned, you don't need a whole Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been broken down into 100,000 Satoshis. So you can decide to buy one, you can decide to buy 10,000, you can decide 50,000, depending on the amount that you can afford. So these are a few things to remember. And it's very quick. So somebody has received, can you show us officially a Bitcoiner? Please, a round of applause for her. I think there are more people that they want to share with. So if in case you need Bitcoin, I see someone very, very excited. Your phone is misbehaving. Take your time. As I've mentioned, never invest more than you can afford to lose. Some people will go and put their entire life savings because they've heard a myth somewhere that tomorrow Bitcoin will go up. The truth is nobody can predict. There's no single person who is sitting anywhere that predicts how much Bitcoin will be tomorrow. The price factor is determined by the number of transactions on the platform. Secondly, Bitcoin price goes up and down, and that's normal. It started from just 1 cent, came to $1, $2. Now it's at $68,000. At first it was $150,000. It's a normal thing. It goes up and down. But what we are most interested about is the problems that it solves in our communities. Don't panic sell when the price drops. Don't be agitated because the Bitcoin has come down. You want to go and sell your Bitcoin. Don't do it because you might live to regret it the following day. It's important that we educate ourselves first before we invest in anything, even beyond Bitcoin. Don't hear about any investment and just run into it because of how sweet the advertisement is or because of how sweet they've promised you the returns will be. The first thing to do is to educate yourself. If you think we've not shared enough with you today, there are a lot of resources online that you can read, even on our website, where you can get to know more and have the confidence before you go ahead and start buying Bitcoin. And if anybody guarantees you returns, somebody comes to you and say, oh, give me 1,000 kwacha, tomorrow I'm giving you 2,000 kwacha, and they ask why, he says, because I'm investing it in Bitcoin is a lie. There is no guaranteed return that if somebody puts your money somewhere in Bitcoin, you will get a return. So these are some of the resources to keep. You can go to africabitcoincommunity.org. Please, if you want to write it, please write it now. africabitcoincommunity.org. africabitcoincommunity.org. We have some resources on the website. If you want to learn, it tells you the number of minutes you spend. It's good for you to have what? Education first before you make a decision of buying Bitcoin. And we've already shared with you the wallet of Satoshi, Bloom wallets, and then the Moon wallet. These are platforms that you can use. The same way you have all followed UniPod on X, please make sure you follow us, the Africa Bitcoin Conference on X as well. Zikomo Kwambiri.
Oh, wow. You guys have the wallet of Satoshi? Everyone have? How many minutes it takes to me to send you money? Second, even somebody in the US, somebody in anywhere in the world, it takes a second or 2 seconds or 5 seconds for him to receive the money. It's that quick. You don't need to go to Western Union or anything. That's how the power of Bitcoin. I'm gonna go around and give some Satoshi to people.
He gave t-shirts already. No, he's giving the books out. So we should ask questions. Okay. So
See, when I scan, you ask me how much, you ask me how much I want to give you. So you can do it in Kwasha, dollar, SAFA, or anything. So I'm just gonna put $2 in. And when I put $2, I say send. And then the calling send. You see that? That's it, quick.
okay. So as the transactions are going, we have some gifts that we want to share. You guys have asked us a lot of questions. Huh? You have a question. It's my time to ask you the question. I'm sure after the session we'll still be around. In case you want to connect, you can also ask. But we have some gifts, Chef. The shirts. Oh, we have some gifts. How many? So the first question, can anyone differentiate between the two types of wallets we have. Hey. I'll go with the ladies.
We have a hot wallet and a cold wallet.
What's the difference?
Hot wallet is for your everyday use. You can have it on your phone. And then cold wallet is for long-term saving. You can have it on a hard drive or USB.
A round of applause. What's your t-shirt size? Size. We spoke about non-custodial wallets and custodial wallets. Anyone wants to share? Anybody wants to tell us the difference?
Okay, sure, the difference between custodian wallets and non-custodian wallets. Custodian wallets, there are those that you depend on an entity to help keep information for you. You gave the examples here, like the yellow card or the what is it? The buy no? I don't know. Well, the non-custodian, you are the one in control of your wallets. The example are the apps we're downloading, the wallet of Satoshi and
Yes. She has gotten a t-shirt. Yes. Who can tell me about what stable coins are? Stable coins. Microphone for.
Stable coins are the coins that their price is constant. They don't go down, they don't go up.
Can you tell us the two types that we mentioned in the presentation?
You talked about the USDC and the USDTs.
A round of applause. One final question. Oh, please come for your gifts. I want someone to tell me 3 differences between mobile money and Bitcoin. 3. 3 differences. I think you raise your hand first.
The money in your mobile money wallet can get frozen at any time in case you do anything wrong. And it is also controlled by the company that runs the mobile money wallet that you're using. And it comes with high transaction fees. Whilst the Bitcoin, it is not controlled by any company. You own the money that is in your wallet, and it comes with low transaction fees.
A round of applause. So, thank you very much. Thank you. A round of applause for yourselves. When we are done, you can meet us one-on-one and ask. Yeah.
Okay, my question is, since we are scanning the wallet of Satoshi every time to send the money, and you said we can send it outside the country, does that mean that we have to send this QR code to the person every time to send it?
The applications, I've mentioned something about address, public address.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to send you money or you want to send money to someone and the person is not here, you request for the person's address. And when the person shares their Bitcoin address with you, you are able to input the address in the application that you have and the money will be sent to the person. He's using the QR code because he's here with you one-on-one. It's more convenient rather than asking you to now send him your code. Do you get it?
When you want to receive money from somebody, So you should put receive. You see copy. That's my address. Yeah, that's my address. So if you see copy, you can just copy that address on your WhatsApp and send to the person. And place, like if I want to receive, for example, I want to send money, okay? You see, paste here. The address that I took on my WhatsApp, I was just gonna paste it here because that's the address. That's why it come read. Understand? So even if the person is in any country in the world, you can just copy the address. He can just send you his address, and you paste the address on your application, and that's it. It's gone. Okay, so let's try that one to get your money. I mean, US.
We are done.
All right. So for further questions, we can meet them later after the session is done. But for now, we need to proceed with our program. So on the program, there was a quiz, but definitely this is what has been done already. It was to give out the T-shirts and the booklets. So I hope you've enjoyed the session. Have you? Are you sure? All right. You need further questions? Okay. All right. So without taking much of your time, at this time, I just want to invite Mr. Francis Massey to give us a closing remark. A lot of applause is coming.
Thank you. You guys have not let me down. Yeah, I'm so proud right now. You know, I was talking to these guys, and they're like, "Are you sure you should do a quiz?" I was like, "Yes, you should do a quiz. They will answer you, and they'll answer you 100%." And I'm so proud that you guys have represented us so well. Clap hands for yourselves. All right. First of all, let me thank the presenters. I think you can agree with me. They have done quite a wonderful job. In a limited time, they have managed to explain to us about what Bitcoin is. And looking at how you guys were able to respond to the questions, I'm sure that you are able now to understand and even maybe share with other people what Bitcoin is. And I think they need and they deserve a big round of applause. So let's clap hands for them. For the past talk series, we had to bring people. I think the very first one, we had to invite someone from Lilongwe to basically do or facilitate the fireside chat. Similar to the second one, I think it was the same thing. We had to outsource someone to come and do the fireside chat or basically facilitating the whole program. But today, we try to do it so differently. The one who was basically doing the emceeing or facilitating today's session is basically a student right from here at the university. A 4 student from doing business communication. Please come forward. And I think he has done quite a good job, isn't it? Yes. So, and this is what we need, you know? You need to own this space. Yeah, can I have a set? Yeah, you need to own this space. This space, as UniPod, as I always say, I think every talk series, I always say the same thing, that we are here with the equipment, this fancy building, and without you guys, this is meaningless, right? We need you guys to come over, use and enjoy the equipment we have, get the mentorship that you need. That way we'll be able to move forward. So we need you guys to come. The like example of him, and also he's actually the one, I don't know if you know, some of you have watched our podcast. We do have podcasts in the UniPod, and if you have watched that, you can also see that it's even him who is the one who is leading that program. So we need more people to come and say, I also want to initiate a program here in the UniPod which can do this, and so on. So he gave us the concept note, and we liked what he wants to do, and we said, oh, come, let's do the podcast. So it's similar to the talk series, but more it's like Cruise 5, yeah? Cruise 5, the one Joab does, yes. Yeah, it's exactly that, where we invite people to come, we ask questions. We have invited the Dean of Students to talk about students' problems that they're facing on campus, you know. So that's the kind of approach we need from all of you in this room to come and utilize this space. And even those that are online as well, please make sure that you find time to come and visit us, see what we have, and then learn what you can do with what we have and basically move forward. Also, I would like to thank each one of you today for coming. Yeah. It has been so good with you guys. The questions that you have been posed, what you have answered, what you have gained today, all this has made today's event, I think my team can agree with me, that this has been quite fruitful. And I think it has been also motivating to others that maybe next time when they come to do even more and more awareness activities and presentations like these, I think they will be looking forward to come based on what they have seen today. All right? Yeah, so I think what we have heard today, I would encourage you to move forward. Let's have the spirit of learning. Let's not stop today. I know some of us have received money today. It's like, I don't have money now. I didn't receive money. Yeah, but I know some of you have received money. Some of you have received T-shirts. Some of us didn't get anything. But next time, I hope that you do even better. Let's keep learning. Let's moving forward and push our nation forward. It is us who are the ones who are going to make Malawi different. So let's do as much as we can to bring change. I also want to recognize the presence of our dear friend, Mr. Peter Kambalame. Maybe you can just stand where you're seated. I think this pillar is blocking me. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So he's coming representing the Central Bank, Reserve Bank of Malawi. So this is serious business. So him coming here also shows the need and the importance of what presentation that is the team from APC we are basically doing. And our hope is that in the next few months or year, how long it will take, but we'll have Bitcoiners in the country, developers in the country. Farida was just telling me that there's about 0.1% of Africans that are basically contributing to the open source technologies that are supporting Bitcoin. For example, making mobile apps, making these kind of technologies that should support Bitcoin. In other countries, the contribution is just too much. But here, we have, in Africa, it's like 0.1%. So it means we're not doing too much about Bitcoin. Maybe it's because we don't know, at least now we know, and I hope that maybe using that lab there, yes, that lab there. We don't have computers for mining, yes, but at least those computers, we can develop now apps that can contribute to the Bitcoin community. With their support, I think they can basically guide us. I think there'll be trainings coming soon in terms of how such kind of things can be done in AI, blockchain, as well as Bitcoin in general. So without further ado, I would like to thank you all. We have some snacks with us today, as always. So I would want to be the block between you and the food that is behind there. Yes, I know everyone is now looking at the food. Even when I was talking, instead of listening, you're busy looking at the food. Yeah? Yeah, so thank you very much for listening.
All right. So this is the end of our session today. But before we go for the refreshments, we are going to have a set of group photos. So we are going to have 3 sets of them. I believe that they will advise us on how to do it. All right. So we'll have our guest lined up in front and with the staff of UniPod. That's the first set. And then the other set, we'll have the guest with all of us together taking another photograph. All right. So before you leave, we'll have the rest of the staff for UniPod, yes, to have the picture. All right. All right. Sorry, before you get seated. The last one, I know it's a bit difficult to do, but we'll have our guests seated, and those that we need a picture with them, we can come behind them. Is that doable? All right. So as we are doing the picture, I'll do this announcement in our local language. Agulagulu, chakujajwa tipangira ifeyo. Tien tipangi mwabata. All right? Don't send if my intellectual. So let's at least be disciplined. All right. So for the rest of the guys that side, titakangoima now kumapetoko, so that we may be visible in the photograph.